All right, you guys, so here we are in Montera, California on Pacific Coast Highway. This is my little office where I brainstorm and make things happen. So what I want to do is share with you my journey to the place that I'm at now, where I've had lots of success in business. I've had a lot of ups and downs. I've experienced amazing opportunities around the world, here and abroad. I've also had difficulties. Things happen, life happens. So I thought it'd be beneficial to you to hear my story because that kind of influences the kind of advice that I would give. And you're going to have your story and your journey, and we have uniqueness, but there's some things where we all need to learn some very basic fundamental things. So in my journey, I'm gonna say it fairly briefly. When I was young, I worked in restaurants. I definitely learned hard work. So in my mind, when I think of these things I'm going to talk about at the beginning, I actually think of John Wooden's Pyramid of Success. So that was a very powerful thing for me to learn about. John Wooden was a famous UCLA basketball coach. He won 10 championships out of 12 years after spending, I think, 17 or 18 years without winning a championship. So what he had developed was, and people like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and other famous basketball players played under him, and they were his friend for like over 50 years. So this guy had a huge impact on people's lives, and he had a big impact on my life through his books and through his videos. And so in his video, though, The Pyramid of Success, he has a definition for success. So I recommend that each of you come up with your definition for success, because my definition would be kind of like John Wooden's, which, to paraphrase his, it was peace of mind that is a direct result of trying your best every day. Now he says it slightly differently, but think about that for a second. Trying your best, make every day a masterpiece, be an artist, be a craftsman, try to hone your craft. Try to get better and better at what you're doing. So the things on my channel that we're going to be talking about are real estate investing, living a high quality of life, and designing your lifestyle to have maximum freedom. And that involves money, but it also involves other decisions, how your time is wisely allocated. So let me go back to that pyramid of success. So if you just visualize like a pyramid, at the top is success. How do you get there? What are the building blocks? How are you going to build your pyramid? So in John, and I'm just going to refer to John Wooden's Pyramid of Success. I highly recommend go watch some YouTube videos on that Pyramid of Success, but I'm just going to focus on a couple points here. So he says the cornerstones of his Pyramid of Success, you got industriousness or hard work, and then on the other side you got enthusiasm. Okay, those two things. You must love what you're doing, you must pursue it with passion, and you must work at it day after day, practice. So if you imagine he was a basketball coach, he would teach the best basketball players in the world, like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, probably one of the top 3 best basketball players of all time. He taught that man, who had tremendous talent and skill, how to properly tie his shoes. I'm not joking. Like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar talks about it. He's like, this man was teaching me how to tie my shoes. This man was teaching me, don't just play basketball, but get your education, graduate, right? Because you don't know what will happen in life. So he was preparing him to be able to face whatever happens to him in life, right? He went on to have a successful Hall of Fame career, but he could have slipped and fell because he didn't tie his shoe properly and twist his knee and never play again. So that's the kind of coach he was. So he was teaching him excellence, hard work, and enthusiasm. Love what you do. Have enthusiasm. Be passionate about it. It's another person I know one time said, and I thought about it later and go, that's totally how I feel, which is, he said, I'd rather make, 100,000, just throwing out numbers, $100,000 a year doing what I love than make $1 million a year doing something I hate to do. And that's so true. To me, that would be success. Doing what you love, living the highest quality of life you possibly can, right? And having the freedom to enjoy your family and friends and your hobbies and things you love to do. Nature. Okay? So going back to it. So when I think of my journey, I consciously made a decision at a pretty young age. Like, in my belief, I would say it was providence. I would say that, I wasn't a Christian at that time, but I believed in God. I believed, like, I would pray without even knowing what prayer was. I would talk to the Creator, and I would try to be righteous. But I would think that I just believed, my simple childlike mind thought, this is a good world. I lived in a beautiful place, and I felt like everything was a blessing and it was a gift. And I lived grateful, and I lived wanting to thank the Creator for it, and I just had a basic concept of I should try to be righteous and a good person. And obviously people around you in your life influence you in that way. But my point is that I realized in my early years working at the Chart House on Montara Beach that I needed to work hard to get anywhere in life. My dad really taught me that. He was a hard worker. My mom was a hard worker. I guess I came from a family of hard workers. My sister's a hard worker. And so it was just part of our DNA to work hard. And so from age 14, to college, I was working hard at a restaurant, saving money. So part of my journey, I learned how to work hard, and I just naturally had enthusiasm. I loved life. I loved the beach. I loved my job at the restaurant. I loved surfing. I had a great life. And so for me, hard work and enthusiasm just came naturally. If it doesn't, you need to take time to find what your passion is, what you can be enthusiastic about. And if you're not a hard worker, like, slowly get there. Because to be quite honest, like, after a while, it's like surfing. I'm sorry, but most of my analogies will come from surfing. It's like paddling is 90% of surfing. Paddling is not easy for people. It's hard work. But once you learn to paddle, like, I'm 45 years old. I can go to Portugal and paddle day after day, surfing long point breaks, because I spent 30 years paddling. And prior to that trip to Portugal, I wasn't surfing that often around here. I was surfing like a couple times a week or whatever. But I have that already in me because I paddled for 30 years. So the same thing in life. If you get on a track of hard work, maybe don't do that job that's so stressful. Maybe go get a job that's less stressful, but it's hard work. Like, one time I was in New Zealand, a great job. I was a moss picker. I went into a forest and picked moss with the beautiful Mount Cook right there and beautiful forest. And my boss was this relaxed older gentleman that's a great friend of mine till this day. And but it was hard work. So hard work and enthusiasm, right? And if you're not passionate about things, you can turn that switch on the moment you start going, I'm going to open my eyes every day and realize how many blessings I have, how amazing this world is with all the chaos and craziness going on. There's still so much to be thankful for, and so much that you can see as a blessing. There's so much beautiful nature. Nature, as much as humankind has been destroying it, it's still vibrant and still full of life, and you can just see that when you spend a little bit of time in nature. So that pyramid of success, forming a moral foundation of your life, like a moral compass of saying, you know what, I want to be hardworking, I want to be enthusiastic, and I'm going to pursue success not as someone else sees it, but as I define it. And I think the definition John Wooden had, something like that should be our idea of success, more than just a dollar amount or I have this amount of stuff. I think that knowing that you did your best and you tried to make your day a masterpiece, or you were a craftsman, that is really a more worthwhile definition of success. When I was pursuing, kind of like say, that moral foundation, I read a couple different books that providentially people brought into my life. Like these grandparents, not my grandparents, but these other grandparents, gave me a book called Mere Christianity. So it was kind of like the essence of it, not just like churchianity, but what it's really all about. That book was written by C.S. Lewis, who wrote like Chronicles of Narnia and things like that. And so I was familiar with the author, but I was young, and these are like some of the, I didn't read a lot of books at that time. But that book, as well as the Bible, and And really, just let's talk about those two books. And then I was reading other philosophies and other religions and stuff like that. Taoism, Lao Tzu, I forgot the name of that book that Lao Tzu wrote, but Taoism and Christianity were speaking to me because when I studied Taoism, it was talking about this moral law of the universe and how it was a lot like nature. It's like you can't go against the laws of nature. You have to bend and adapt to the laws of nature. Gravity is a law. You got to adapt to it, right?